Hi, I'm Caitlin Pickering, and the title of my T-TESS paper is T-TESS Growth Mindset and Continuous Improvement. I was able to learn a lot more than I originally knew about the T-TESS while writing this paper. I was also able to learn more about growth mindset. Growth mindset I had some knowledge of before starting this, just because the title of it kind of explains a little bit about what it's about, and you're able to infer what's expected of you or what's expected of a person that has growth mindset. But the T-TESS is something that I had never heard of before this class. I may have heard of it, but it was just in passing, and I had never heard anything of any details about the evaluation system. So my paper, I start out by discussing what I've learned about growth mindset, and it's essentially that you are never too good to improve. I compare it to a spelling test and say, like, the students who have growth mindset are the ones at the beginning of the week who see the words that they don't know and think, oh, if I study those words throughout this week, then by the end of the week that I'll at least know some of them. If they if this words, even if they fail the test, then their thought process is, well, at least I know more than I did. Whereas students with a fixed mindset are the students who at the beginning of the week look at the words and think to themselves that they don't know the words, and they're never going to know the words because they don't know them now, and so they just give up and don't put forth any effort into studying, and then their spelling test grade is a fail, but they would rather have that failing grade knowing that they didn't try versus having the failing grade with effort put into it. They're afraid to fail because they've been praised for their intelligence instead of their learning process. That's one thing that Carol Dweck encourages people not to do, is praise intelligence. She would rather people praise the process, because they if a student is praised for their intelligence and then they make a failing grade, they're going to think less of themselves. So praise the process, not the student. And then I continue on into my paper discussing the actual T-TESS and the different domains. And domain 1 is planning, just like our observations for block 2, or block 1 and block 2. We have to have the planning and then meet with our field supervisor about what needs to be changed in our lesson plans or anything like that. That's kind of where planning falls in the T-TESS. The next T-TESS is the next domain in T-TESS is the actual instruction of the lesson. So where you're up in front of the class actually teaching or monitoring while they're doing a project that you have planned. And then the third domain within T-TESS is the learning environment. I mentioned in my test that I just took that even if your planning is perfect and your instruction is perfect, students are not going to be able to learn unless the learning environment allows it. If there's desks shoved in corners and stacked on top of each other, students aren't going to be able to learn in that environment. Your decorations need to have a purpose, or your majority of your decorations. You can have a few decorations here and there that are just decorations, but the majority of your decorations in your classroom need to be educational. They need to serve a purpose, and they need to be able to teach the students something. The last domain within T-TESS is professional practices and responsibilities, and that's essentially how you act around your teammates, your co-teachers, your principal, your secretary, anybody that's within the school. Like, you have to remain professional with them, or else they're not going to treat you as a professional. I'm glad that I had to write this paper, because I know that T-TESS is what I will be evaluated with once I get a teaching job. And I'm also thankful that our field supervisors observe us and evaluate us with a system that's nearly identical to the T-TESS. Ms. Scheidmantel actually told me that while creating the evaluation system for Block 1 and Block 2, they actually looked at T-TESS and kind of fixed it where it would work better for student teaching or co-teaching, but it's the basis of it is actually T-TESS. So I'm thankful that I've gotten this exposure to it while in Block 2, and I'm not having to start a job like fresh and not knowing anything. Thank you.